you let go of that name. Tell us more about that. This is fascinating.
I certainly did let go of that. And it's funny because I was doing a Facebook Live the other day, and I announced, like I introduced myself, and I was like, oh, that sounds so strange. So, and this is all very recent for me because I've gone through a lot of life things like everybody does. I think it started when my mom passed away about 6 years ago. Then my dad passed away 4 years later, and then in March my great auntie passed away, and that was like the end of a generation, the end of an era, let's say. And I was just about the time where I was saying to myself, I haven't had enough of feeling stuck, of feeling like I should be further ahead than I am, and feeling like I'm loving what I'm doing. I felt like I kind of lost the motivation, or that zest for what I was doing, and I couldn't figure out why. And grief is a crazy thing, so it shows up different for a lot of people, but I felt that I had just come through a really kind of dark phase in my life, because at the time I didn't realize this was going on. It's only looking back now that I can see that I wasn't happy. I was performing at maybe 50% as opposed to like 80%, or things like that. And about a couple of months ago, after my great auntie died, I made a decision that things were going to change. And here's what I want people to get from that, me making that decision. It's like, we think we need to wait for things to change, but we can actually demand things for change. So if there's somebody watching this show today and you're feeling like this and you're waiting for something to change, you can demand that the change is going to happen now. So a couple months ago, I made this decision, and I chose to leave Donegal. I'm from Ireland. I travel a lot, but I haven't traveled as much since the pandemic. So I chose to travel to Croatia. And I had no real reason to go to Croatia other than I went on Airbnb and thought, yeah, that's a nice place. It's beside the beach. I'll go there. And I went there, and it turned out that it was very close to Bosnia. And Bosnia is where my mom's spiritual home was, not because she was from there, but she used to visit a town called Medjugorje, where, lots of like religious and Catholic people would go. And I was like, and it was near her anniversary. And I was like, oh, maybe that's why I'm drawn there. So I went there, and because I was there, I went and I had this, what could I call it? A spiritual experience of really like feeling like I was connecting with my mother. Lots of things were associated with her name the whole time I was there. It was crazy. And I just made a decision that I was going to start letting go of every single thing, every single thought, every single person, every single offer, every single aspect of my business that was not making me happy. So this is extreme, and yes, it's extreme, but this has only been in the last 2 months. So this is all still quite raw for me, Brigitte. By the time the 2 months was up, I had cleared my entire house, got rid of all of my clothes, ended my relationship, stopped selling offers I didn't like. I just cleared everything. And the last thing that I did, and something that I've wanted to do for a long time, was change my name. Not because, I don't want to be attached to anything, but I just didn't like it. I didn't feel like it was a representation of who I'm becoming. So I chose a new name one day in the shower. It just came, popped in my head. I did some research, numerology, all the things. And I was just like, no more Moira Ní Gallagher. I am now Moira Moret.
What a great story. And that in itself. So it's so empowering when you let go of something and you actually get something from letting go. And I think that a lot of people, like I had a conversation with one of my clients this morning, and the letting go came up again. And she says, but I need to be in control in order for my business to go the way that I want it to go. And I asked her, I challenged her, and I said, what would happen if you wouldn't?
Yeah. And
she was like, what a concept I've never thought about. Now, there's this, we are letting go of many things, and you let go of your name, stuff, clothes, some business ideas, literally almost everything. And
in the business thing, it was a lot of funnels. It was a lot of things that took a long time to build. There was a lot of email sequence. Like, there was so much. Like, when you think about this, I even like cleared out about 2,000 people from my social media, unsubscribed from all the mailing lists, because it was just all of this is coming at you. And I'm like, I don't want, that's not what I'm choosing. But somewhere along the way I chose it, and it's like you're just sticking all these things and it's all coming with you, and before you know it, you're dragging this massive load around with you, and you don't have any energy or space for anything new, even though that what you're really crying out for is something new and different.
Yeah. It feels heavy. As you're saying it, it feels very like overload. I can hardly put it in words. And what really triggered me when you were saying that was something that I remember in a Karl Lagerfeld documentary, where when he was still alive, and they did a documentary in Karl Lagerfeld with him in it. And
not the way you say that, because that is not the way I say Karl Lagerfeld.
Karl Lagerfeld. I mean, he's a fellow German. But see, that's exactly why I was like, okay, she changed her name. Awesome, because I will have the hardest time with the other last name. Anyway, Karl Lagerfeld always destroyed his designs after they were implemented. So he would design it, they would implement it, and then he would destroy the drawing and the outline of the design. And I thought that was so, first, when I saw it in the documentary, I thought, well, that's stupid. And then when he explained why he's doing that, and the reason for that is for him to not fall into a place of complacency, to always think new, to always think more, to unclutter. And that's exactly what sparked when you said what you said. It's that letting go of stuff. So new things, new business ideas, new relationships may come out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the time we just don't have any space for that. And the more I'm in business, and the more I'm in this human experience that we're all having, it's all energy. Everything is energy. I was talking about this in one of my posts today. Like, it's like the energy we're bringing. There's so many people out there, especially in business. When you start your business, everybody, like, they go through a phase, and sometimes it can go on for years, where people are just not saying yes to them. They're struggling to close sales. They're hearing no's all the time, and they're thinking it's a tactic, it's a strategy. I need this magical script, when in actual fact, it's usually because they're not saying yes to themselves. And they're not a full yes to themselves. So they're expecting other people to go all in on themselves and be yes to what they want, to be yes to their dreams. And then the person who's going to coach them is not saying yes to their dreams. And that doesn't work. It'll get you so far. But if you have goals where you want to have a much higher level, which I do, like, at some point you need to look, like, why is that?
You said something earlier, and that is, first, letting go of control. But then you also said you can demand control. So there's
demand change. It was to demand change.
Oh, demand change. Change.
Yes.
Got it. So you can demand change.
Yeah.
And change is, so how does one, talk to us more about that? How does one demand change?
Yeah. Well, exactly like the situation that I put myself in. I took myself out of my environment. I set myself a very powerful intention that I wanted my life to change. I wanted my business to change. I wanted my energy to change. I wanted my pricing to change. I wanted my offers to change. I wanted it all to just be different, because I was just unmotivated and bored and stuck with it. So part of those 2 months while I was away, I spent an awful lot of time really thinking, like, what is it that I really want? Tony Robbins says that one of the hardest questions for a human being to answer for themselves is, what do you want? And it is, but it's not impossible if you allow yourself space to do that. So when I say demand change, I left my home, I set myself up somewhere else, and I was like, this is what I want from this experience. I want things to change. So that's what I mean. And the whole time that I was there, everything was about, what do I want? What are my dreams? Where do I see myself? What do I see as holding myself back? So I really created space to look at all that. And that was me demanding change. And, that experience that I had while I was away, like, one of the things that I also demanded was, I wanted a sign from my mom. It was her 6th anniversary. And I didn't know that I was going to get her or anything, but I was like, I want a sign. So when I went to this little village to, retrace her steps of a place that she loved, first of all, I found a hotel called Hotel Grace. Her name was Grace for everybody. And in the hotel called Grace, I met somebody from Italy who invited me to a prayer meeting. That was like a forgiveness ceremony. It was a beautiful thing. He invited me to that. I had the most amazing healing experience where I felt like I had never cried for my mother passing in this ceremony. And then later that night, I go for dinner with all these people. They asked me my mom's name and they said, "Do you know that we're from a town called Grace in Italy?" Like, if that is not...
That's a huge sign.
That's not... You're right? And after that, then I went on to Tuscany. I was running a retreat with my clients there. And there were 2 people that I saw in the hotel lobby, and I thought, I really need to, I don't know, there's something about this couple. I need to know them. And sure enough, we got together and, it was like as if we were long lost friends. We hung out together almost every evening. I introduced them to my clients. They introduced me to like amazing possibilities. And on the final night, they asked me about why did I choose Croatia. And I told them, and you'll never guess this, Brigitte, you'll never guess what they said. Their faces dropped and they said, "Do you know that we're from Harbour de Grace?" 3. So when I say you can demand it, you can demand this, but you've got to be open for the signs. I followed my intuition. If I hadn't have left to go on that trip that day, I wouldn't have met those people. If I hadn't have, I wouldn't. So you've got to follow the signs. And I think that giving yourself space away from your environment, like clearing things out of your life that are not serving you and making you happy, this creates space for what you want. And there's nothing more important than what you want, because you can serve your clients all day, but if you're not happy, this is not going to work.
If you're not in it, why should your client be into you? If you're not excited about what you do, why do you expect your client should be excited?
Yes,
absolutely. So you cleared the slate, like one clearing of the slate. What's in store, Myra? Like, what's possible?
Well, for one thing, I'm no longer busy. And
let's talk about busy here in a second. I'll let you talk, and then I want to come back to busy. Yes.
I'm no longer busy because, that month away helped me realize that I've cleared my calendar. I'm not doing all of the stuff I was doing, and I made more money than I had been making. So I was just like, well, if that's what happens when I do that, that's what I'm doing now. So I'm very, very, very particular with what gets on my calendar now. I'm not just doing like this, that, or whatever. I actually discontinued almost every single mastermind program course that I was doing because, again, they were just stuff. I wasn't really getting anything out of it. So I'm no longer busy, and I'm only doing things that I love. If it's not fun, inspiring, and I feel like excitement, it's not happening because there's no point.
No,
because I won't bring my A game if it's not like that.
Absolutely.
Like this show, for example, I knew when I saw the show, I was like, oh, she seems cool. In fact, I've seen look
at us. We're like long lost twins.
Like, that's definitely a yes. Let's totally do that, And like right now I'm hosting a masterclass series with my coach. And it was like, this is something I want to do. I want to introduce, what I'm learning and, what she's helped me with to my people. And I thought that would make me really excited. Let's do it. And I don't do things like that. Most coaches don't do things like that because they're like, they kind of want to keep who's helping them kind of hidden and things like that. And I'm just like, no, I want to like share the magic. Come on, let's do this. And the response for that was absolutely phenomenal. I never had such a high sign-up rate for a paid event in a short space of time than any other event because I was all in and I was so excited about it. So like I said, somewhere along the way over the last few years, life did happen and it took me off that And maybe at some, you kind of think that when you lose people, that you need to be unhappy for a while, but where do you stop?
Mm.
You know, where do you draw the line there?
Mhm.
I drew the line.
Boundaries. Busy. Talk to me about busy versus productive.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah. So it's like measure, like, is what you're doing in this moment going to get you to the result that you want? So what is going on your calendar? Like, what's filling up your time? Like, go through it, each thing that you're doing, each item on your calendar. Is this going to get me the result that I want? If you're new in entrepreneurship, it should all be cash generating activities. Is this going to create clients? Is this going to create what I need, my income goals? And if it's not, then it needs to go in the everything else category, because that is not your priority. And like these days, like obviously I've grown my business to a certain level, but it's like actually making more money when you get to a certain level, and like it's actually easier. It's not about being busier. It's about doing better. It's about doing better work with the time that you have, and also about really valuing your own time. And I think for anybody watching, like if you don't value your own time, you're going to find this really difficult, because most of the time we don't value our own time. And I've learned my own lessons with that. But if we don't value our time, nobody else will.
So it comes back to being congruent.
Mm-hmm.
It comes back to me being a mirror outward, and everything that I love, enjoy, that I stand for, that I breathe, that's what I'm attracting. And if I don't like myself, if I'm not congruent with myself, if I'm not sure if that's the right thing, if I'm not certain that actually what I am doing is going to is a great way of serving humanity, that's going to reflect outward. And then, some people might wonder, well, why am I not getting the clients? Why am I not attracting the people that I oh so carefully wrote out in my avatar? Because there's a lack of congruency. There's no alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. We absolutely get what we are, not what we want. We get who we
Isn't that true? I'm going to do a little bit of a rapid fire with you, if you would play along. I'm going to give you some words, and then you'll just, quickly shout out what comes to mind. A word, a phrase, a sentence. First one, mindset.
Necessary.
Travel.
Passion.
Future.
Out of this world.
Hate.
Not necessary.
Wealth.
Crucial.
Modeling.
Essential.
Passion.
Oh, can't live without.
Acceptance.
Oh, essential, necessary, can't live without it.
Yeah. Imagine the two of us would go in a time capsule, and we would travel into the future, and eventually, we would come out somewhere.
Somewhere luxurious, I hope.
Somewhere fun and luxurious, for sure. I think that's the common denominator with us too. What do you want to tell the people in the future?
I want to tell people in the future that it's not about pushing and struggling and working harder, because working harder does not create wealth. We've tried that. We've been programmed that it is, because if we were programmed for freedom and we were programmed to make a lot of money, it's not the way the powers that be want the world. That's not how they want it to look. And I would love to say that I would love to be saying that every single thing that you want is absolutely possible if you can just allow yourself to receive it and believe that you're worthy of it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I actually have a little permission slip that I give my clients if they need permission to do something. It's just a blank permission slip, and I send it to them, and I say, you give yourself permission for anything that you want. They're like, ooh, that's cool. Yeah, I will give myself permission to go and have a massage, to actually not work this afternoon, or whatever it is that they want to give themselves permission for.
And that, like, I've given myself permission to like fully own my morning up until like 12 o'clock, and I might get up at 6, I might get up at 7, I might lie on if I want to, but I do not beat myself up if my body feels like I need to sleep. But I just give myself permission to do whatever I want in the morning, so that I'm really setting myself up to win for the hours that I am going to be present at work.
That would also mean that you let go of, I think you said it earlier, of the three, the trinity of regret: woulda, coulda, shoulda. And literally not should all over yourself. So we did a time travel into the future. Let's take the resources, let's take the goodness, let's take all of the wonderful things that you have learned along the journey and travel in the past. What are you going to tell younger Moira?
Oh, without a doubt, I would tell her just to trust herself. Trust your feelings. If something doesn't feel right, it's not. And don't doubt that.
I think that is.
If we as women, as business owners, could just trust ourselves, and trust that if we're doing something and it's not working, then maybe it's just not what you're supposed to be doing. It doesn't mean that you're bad or wrong, or maybe, and that's when you can allow something better to come along, But unfortunately, like, for many of us, we'll just push and push and push because we're driven and we're ambitious, and that's a great thing too. But it shouldn't be hard. There
it is again. Yeah, that should. You have so much rich nuggets, and I trust you with my viewers, with my following. People want to get in touch with you. People want to learn from you. How do they get in touch with you? How will they learn from you? So I hang out on Facebook most. I'm posting stories and posts there all the time. I go live. So absolutely come and friend me on Facebook. I just cleared out about 2,000 people because I had no room for friends. So you can connect with me there. And also on Instagram. I hang out on Instagram a lot as well. And if you hear me on the show, I'd love to hear what your takeaway was from it. So send me a DM. Yeah, fantastic. So get with Moira on Instagram and on Facebook. And I also see that we got some good comments here. Great advice from Reach Your Peak. Loving the show. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Moira, for being here. With what last words or last advice would you want to leave us today? Put yourself first. Put you and what you want first. Because and I mean that even over your clients, put yourself first. Because if you're not, you're not going to be 100%, and you want to bring 100% to the table. So put yourself first and everything you want. Yeah, love that. One of my clients said this past week, don't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm around you. Ooh, I like it. Man, that's powerful. I was like, ooh, I'm going to remember that one. I like it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the Success Pattern Show. Guys, thank you for tuning in and learning through our guest experts. Tune in again and spread the word. Get in touch with everyone that's our guest expert. Make sure that you connect with us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and we will see each other again for next week's Success Pattern Show. Thanks, Moira. Thank you so much, Brigitte. I really loved this conversation with you. Me too. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in, and you will notice opportunities to apply success patterns daily while eagerly anticipating next week's content-rich success patterns.